Hey, it's Dr. Mormon here, Coach Mormon if you prefer. I'm up here at the Picture Creek Diabase Barren, and I want to talk briefly about succession. So plant succession is the gradual change in a plant community after a disturbance. So within a successional gradient, or what we might call a sere, S-E-R-E, there are a variety of successional stages, or what I'm going to call seral stages, S-E-R-A-L stages. So the first seral stage, soon after a disturbance, primarily a soil disturbing disturbance, is going to be stage one of succession, or the first seral stage. It's going to be dominated by annual grasses and forbs. And those annual grasses and forbs are grasses and forbs that live and die in a single year. Stage two is going to be perennial grasses and forbs. And again, so it's an herbaceous dominated plant community. Those perennial grasses and forbs are going to live for multiple years. They're going to develop root systems. They may actually die back, or the top may disappear during the dormant period. During the colder months, during the growing season, they're going to sprout back vigorously from that root system. So that's stage two. Here, we're standing along a power line here, and you can see out in the distance a plant community with very little woody cover. So this is a stage two plant community that's dominated by herbaceous perennials. You see a few woody plants. If you look this way, you can see a plant community that has more woody plants, and it's because this side was just burned in the last 3 months. That side up the hill hasn't been burned in 3 years. So up there, woody plants are starting to become more prominent. And that plant community is beginning to shift to stage three of plant succession. Stage three, by definition, is going to be dominated by woody species. And it's going to be shade intolerant woody species like eastern redbud, loblolly pine, eastern red cedar, shortleaf pine, sweet gum. Then, as that plant community becomes more prominent and grows up, it may look like a forest, but that's stage three, regardless of the structure. It can be low structure or high structure. Then over time, that plant composition is going to shift to more shade tolerant species we may call intermediate shade tolerant, like oaks. Across the power line here, you see a plant community with more oaks in the overstory, so that's a plant community that's shifting from stage three to stage four, where the oaks are becoming the dominant species. And then in some places, without any disturbance, that plant community will eventually shift to shade tolerant species in the overstory, and those would be sugar maple and American beech, and that's stage five. So we can have a variety of structure within a seral stage, but it's key to remember that the seral stage is defined by the composition and not the structure. We'll talk a bit about structure, the variation of structure within a seral stage a bit later in another video. FYI, that's a common yellowthroat singing in the background.